Hi, I'm Peter Sinclair with the law offices of Gleason, Dunn, Walsh, and O'Shea. We're the attorneys for your PBA with a special message today from your PBA concerning the issue of responding to an inquiry or investigation. And the question that we're going to be asking today, or answering, is what to do when it appears a member might be asked to provide a statement. This presentation will be in three parts. The first part is what to do when it appears that a member is being asked to provide a statement. The second part is how to prepare a member for a statement. And the third part will be what to expect during a statement. So let's cover that first question now. What to do when it appears a member might be asked to provide a statement. We're going to run through a couple different questions that you need to ask in some form of whoever is asking for the statement. The first question you need to determine is who requested the statement. Was it the supervisor? Was it the chief of police? The next determination is whether it is an order. And what I mean by that is it is a compelled statement or is it a voluntary statement. And this is very important for the Garrity rights analysis, which we're going to cover later. Next, you should determine what the form of the statement will be. Will it be a written statement or will it be a verbal statement in an interrogation? You need to determine the subject matter of the statement. And what I mean by that is what is the member being asked to discuss? What is the subject matter that they will be writing about or talking about? You need to determine whether the member is the potential subject of discipline. And this is a very important question because it touches on the issue of Garrity rights as well as a union member's right to union representation throughout the process. You need to determine whether there is a right to union representation. And this can be a simple question to the supervisor. Is he allowed to have union representation? If you believe that a member is being asked to provide a statement, you should contact the PBA immediately, either at the PBA offices, your local delegate, or the PBA director. And that concludes the first topic, which is what to do when it appears a member might be asked to provide a statement. Now we're going to talk about the second part of the presentation, which is how to prepare a member for a statement. So how to prepare a member for a statement? The first thing that you should do is to discuss the underlying subject matter of the statement with the member. Ask the member what he or she did, when, why, how. And this is imperative because the PBA will need a complete and truthful account of the underlying events to properly represent the member. You need to advise the member that above all else, he or she must respond to the request to provide a statement truthfully and answer all questions presented truthfully. And this is critical because untruthfulness is its own form of misconduct. And this can lead to discipline up to and including termination. And you may have a situation where the underlying subject matter might not even be a misconduct, but lying about it could be. Advise the member to proceed deliberately. Listen carefully to the question and take a moment to think about and consider his or her answer. This is important because many people have a tendency to continue quickly, and it's important for a member to take his or her time so that he or she can give the best possible answer to a question. Advise the member to keep their answers simple and to the point. And this is similar to that first issue. If a person continues talking, they may end up going beyond the scope of a question and getting into areas that the employer did not previously know. Advise the member to only answer the question presented. And the reason why is that it is not appropriate for the member to assume a question will be asked, or to expand the scope of questioning. Keep it only to what he or she is being asked. Advise the member to stop talking once he or she has answered the question. And the reason why is that many members will continue talking after they've answered the question to fill the dead space. Advise the member not to assume facts that are presented by the interrogator. The member should only go by the facts that he or she recalls, because the interrogator may be providing facts that may not be true. Advise the member that it is acceptable to express uncertainty when providing an answer, essentially hedging. If a member is not sure of the answer of, say, a date, he or she can say, I believe it was this date, but I'm not sure. I believe it was this long, but I don't exactly remember. Advise their member to remain calm and polite at all times. The interrogators will likely be supervisors or people of authority. Advise the member to ask for clarification if he or she does not understand the question presented. This is important because the member needs to know what he or she is responding to. Advise the member to ask for a break if he or she needs this. At any point in an interrogation, a member can ask for a break, whether it's to speak with union counsel, whether it is to simply go to the bathroom. Advise the member that the questions concerning statements to third parties indicates that management likely has access to or has taken these statements. And what I mean by this is if management says, well, didn't you say this to somebody else? That probably means that they've spoken to that person and they've gotten the statement and they're looking to see what your response will be to that question. Advise the member to review relevant records of the subject matter and or relevant policies or law concerning the subject matter. And so if the subject matter implicates a certain section of the police manual, the member should be advised to review that specific section so he or she is knowledgeable of a potential violation. And then advise the member to contact the PBA offices and or the appropriate PBA director or delegate prior to providing a statement. And that concludes our answering of the second topic. And now we're going to talk about the third topic of our presentation today, which is what to expect during a statement. So what to expect during a statement? Well, if it's a written statement, the first thing that you should expect to do is to review the statement with the member to ensure that there are no material errors or omissions. You should also ensure that the statement begins with a guarantee rights preamble, and the PBA will be able to provide that for you. That preamble should identify that the member is ordered to provide that statement. The preamble should identify that the member may be disciplined up to and including termination if he or she fails to provide the statement or fails to write truthfully. And the preamble should identify that the member is the potential subject of discipline. Now, if it's a verbal statement, an interrogation, the first thing you need to understand is that each agency conducts an interrogation differently. Often the interrogation will be recorded, and that recording must be agreed upon by both sides. Oftentimes there will be several individuals on management side at the interrogation, including members from the division or department, as well as civilian HR members. You should expect to ensure that the elements of the member's guarantee rights are triggered during the interrogation. And these elements can be triggered in either written or verbal fashion. One way to do it is to ensure that the statement they're going to provide is ordered. The next is that the member is being asked or being ordered to answer all questions and answer them truthfully. And that the member's failure to do so will subject them to discipline up to and including termination. And you should ensure the member is identified as the potential subject of discipline. If the member is provided with any documents during the interrogation, you should make sure to review those with the member to make sure that they are accurate and accurately reflect the underlying subject matter. Ensure that the member follows the guidance provided earlier in the topic of how to prepare a member for a statement. And when necessary, if the member has any issues during their interrogation, it is completely acceptable to take a break, take them outside, and assist them in the interrogation process. You need to make sure that you maintain a professional demeanor throughout. The union delegate is the member's representative during this process, and he or she must remain objective and above the fray, so to speak, during the process. Thank you. That concludes our presentation for today. We heard a lot about guarantee rights today, and you might be wondering, what are guarantee rights? So guarantee rights were first created in the landmark Supreme Court case, Garrity versus New Jersey. And what that case determined is that because a public employee has a certain vulnerability in their employment, they cannot be held to the same standard as a civilian with regards to waiver of Fifth Amendment rights against self-incrimination. And what that means is that if a member's employment is in jeopardy, if a member is being ordered to provide a statement, if a member is subject to discipline, if he fails to do so, up to and including termination, and if the member is being compelled to provide a truthful statement, if guarantee rights attach, that member's statement cannot be used in a criminal proceeding. The statement can still be used in an administrative proceeding and a civil proceeding, but it is protected and inadmissible in a criminal proceeding. However, it is important to understand that guarantee rights are not a clear-cut right. There is some gray area, there is some interpretation, which is why when we are trying to establish that right, the key is to establish that the member is the potential subject of discipline, that he or she is being ordered to provide a statement, that he or she must provide a truthful statement and answer all questions, and that failure to do so can lead the member to being disciplined.